Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the really complex standoff happening in the Strait of Hormuz. You know, it's a story about one of the most critical shipping choke points in the world, a call for military backup, and a surprisingly quiet response that really makes you question the state of modern alliances.
Right, let's get straight to the heart of it. After a bunch of attacks on oil tankers, the United States called for an international naval coalition to go in and protect this waterway. They figured their closest partners would jump on board, but, well, the response they got was, let's just say, less than enthusiastic. So why? Why would they hesitate to protect a route that is so vital to their own economies? That's what we're going to unpack.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we have to start with what the United States was actually asking for. And you gotta understand, this wasn't some minor request. This was a direct appeal for military muscle in one of the most volatile regions on the planet. The call went out to all the major players. We're talking huge economies like Japan and South Korea, key European powers, and even the entire NATO alliance. And the logic from the US side seemed pretty simple. Hey, your economy depends on the oil flowing through here, so you should help protect the route. It seemed like a no-brainer.
And at first, the messaging coming out of the White House was super confident. This quote from then-President Trump made it sound like help was already on the way, that ships were en route, and that this international force was basically a done deal.
But here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. Because the public statements from those very same allies, they painted a completely different picture. That confident announcement from Washington pretty much ran headfirst into a wall of international hesitation and, well, awkward silence. And this right here just shows you the huge disconnect. On one side, you have the US saying an enthusiastic coalition is forming. But on the other, the reality was that nation after nation was publicly saying thanks, but no thanks to any kind of military commitment. It was a major strategic disagreement playing out for the whole world to see.
And the no's came in fast. Key allies like Australia, Japan, and Spain all said they had no plans to send warships. Germany was even more blunt about it, just ruling out military participation entirely. See, for a lot of these countries, the big fear was getting dragged into a US-led conflict with Iran, especially since many European nations were still trying to save that Iran nuclear deal that the US had just pulled out of.
Heck, even America's closest ally, the United Kingdom, was incredibly cautious. They talked about maybe offering some limited support, but their main message was crystal clear. We are not going to get drawn into a bigger war here.
This quote, it just perfectly captures the frustration that was boiling over in Washington. From the American perspective, it was like, we have all these troops protecting you guys, and when we need a little help, you won't even send a minesweeper? It really shines a light on this deep split in what different allies saw as their top priority.
So what happens when allies are this divided? Well, these rising tensions are having very real, very tangible effects, both for the global economy and in human terms. This is way more than just a diplomatic disagreement. It's a conflict with a tragic, real-world impact. The first thing everybody noticed was the hit to their wallets. Without a strong, unified naval force to stop the attacks, commercial ships were just sitting ducks. And the result? Global oil prices shot up by a whopping 40 to 50%. That's a shockwave that was felt across the entire global economy. The military toll has also been incredibly steep. According to US officials, the conflict has absolutely hammered Iran's naval forces, with claims that more than 100 of their vessels have been destroyed. But beyond the ships and the hardware, there's the devastating human cost. Reports indicate that at least 1,444 people have been killed inside Iran since the fighting began. It's a tragic number that really underscores how serious this conflict has become. And it doesn't stop with the casualties. The conflict has triggered a massive humanitarian crisis. The UN's Refugee Agency reports that as many as 3.2 million people have been displaced inside Iran, which creates just an immense amount of instability and suffering. You would think that with all these losses, military, economic, and human, that Iran might be looking for an off-ramp. But no. Instead, the public message coming out of Tehran is one of pure defiance and a readiness to keep fighting. I mean, this statement from Iran's foreign minister really says it all. There is zero sign of them backing down. The message is that Iran is ready to defend itself and see this thing through no matter what happens. That tells you the tension in the strait is a long way from being over. And that leaves us with this final, really critical question. The refusal of key allies to join this coalition. It's not just about one little strait. It brings up these huge questions about what modern alliances even mean and what the future of collective security looks like. If the traditional leader can't rally support to protect a vital global artery, then who will? What happens when the world's policeman calls for backup and nobody answers the phone?